Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to get a little deep, but I promise you're going to learn a lot. You're going to feel a lot. We're going to talk about spirituality, possibly your spirituality, and how it connects to quantum physics. It's a little higher than my pay grade, but he knows all about it. He's right here. And his name is George. We call him Papa Yatande, and he's the owner of Life Spiritual. He's a coach, by the way, a spiritual coach at Le Peristyle Sanctuary. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But George, welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, and your pronunciation is great. You sure you're not Haitian?
You know what? Funny you should say that, because I just did a DNA test, sent it in, never had a chance, and I'm waiting for it to come back. So I will get back to you on that. You never know. Yeah, it's great to meet you. Great to have you here. And maybe we should go back to the beginning. When we talk about spirituality, a lot of people connect it to religion immediately. It's got a religious connection, but that's not exactly what we mean, right?
That's correct. In talking about spirituality, there are no dogma involved. So when people talk about it in respect to Christianity or Islam or even Hebrew faiths, they are talking about it from their perspective in terms of a dogma and preaching it. Whereas in the different villages and towns and or cultures throughout Africa, and then later on in South America and the Caribbean, and as well as here in the States, there is no dogma. There are spiritual leaders and people who are experienced with helping to guide everyone into how or what they should experience and what they're looking for. But the actual guidance in those faiths deal with your seeking in the spirit and what comes to you and what happens with you. Now, in regards to pretty much just like Haiti or Yoruba or Akan faith or Lukumi and different others throughout Africa and even in Asia with the Hindu faiths and stuff, those spiritualities are connected to the they're all connected to the they're connected to the nature of wind, rain, sunshine, plants, forests, land, and things like that. And what's happening is the elder or the masters began to pretty much show the people exactly how to experience it, and what to seek for. But I can't tell you how to feel or how to receive. Do you understand? It's a experience that you are going to imagine, because you are you, and whatever is in your spirituality has to come to you. For example, the one thing I love to teach to people is to understanding in quantum physics are all connected. It is the science of nature. A lot of times they begin to tell you that science is one thing and nature is something else. And the truth of the matter is that's not true. Anything on the planet is connected through nature. And it is no way that we could have come to understanding scientific procedures and things like that without experiencing things that happened already in nature. For example, I show people how it is important for them that when it comes to the different forces. All right, I'll break it down for you real quick. They have the force of wind, rain, fire, and iron. They have the force of the land, the balances. They have the plants, trees, and they have river. And all of these things are a part of the ecosystems of life. If it wasn't for that, we couldn't breathe. And all of these things, as we recognize it, is within the blessings of the Almighty, God, be it in Africa we call the Mawu Lisa, which is the father and mother, because a lot of times what people like to try and say is just, the father and the woman is somewhere over there somewhere, but there's absolutely nothing that can exist without women or the feminine force, because how are you going to get born? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I showed them how you can talk and be connected with wind and not be blown away. You can connect and talk with rain and high elevations of clouds and not fall to your death to earth. You can also sit with fire and talk and receive message and information and direction without being burned. You can even sit and talk with death and not die. So there are the different things that we need to understand what that is about. And everything is in the Almighty. We can say God, but I don't necessarily want to start talking about this God. The God is named this and God is named that, because that only relates to your area, and it relates to your ethnicity or your foundations of where you come from. But God is in everything, all things, including you and I. If you breathe oxygen, you're bringing God within you. If you must drink water, God is within you. If you all of the things, the use and the foundations of blood within your veins, and those things that go into those intricate little veins that are in every part of your body. You just cut yourself in a place, there will be blood, and those are the juices of life that is connected with quantum physics, as well as the veins, which are the highways, the byways, the roads, the interconnecting ducts that get you to this place or that place, because you need it in order for you to continue to be how you say animated. This is how you move, how you see. But the truth in what quantum physics do is in the brain. The brain is the one thing that's connected to all other types of things in nature, because it deals with not only what your body is able to do, and all of the things that you're able to experience with feelings, with sight. And I don't just mean sight by looking through your eyes, but also mental visions and things of that nature. These are the things that are important. So what I continue to teach and point out to people is the fact that if you want to experience and grow, then we must recognize each other as people. We recognize each other as people, and we don't try to, well, we not that we don't try, we just simply do not try and categorize you according to a color, because again, that only was something done to create caste systems and racism. But the truth of the matter is, we're just simply people. There are some with more melanin in their system and some with less melanin. But you are a person like I am. And what I teach people in that process of being a person, recognizing who you are, number one, as a person, but then how you can climb to become a better person by becoming a human being. Once you have reached the area of becoming a human being and you are now functioning in each and every area of your life, then, in terms of what human kindredship is, what kindness is, what love, help, what fortitude, protection, and just everything that you can imagine, what you should be doing as a human being. If we then stretch ourselves in our minds, we can actually reach to become extraterrestrial. And I know that blows people's mind. It's like, what do you mean, like Martians and aliens? I said, well, let me tell you to you like this. Perhaps 1 billion years ago, human beings have reached the access of their mind to be able to take them to places. And I mean, we look back at things like the pyramids, and we continue to wonder, how are we able to take 75,000 tons of rock and build them in perfect shape at the top of pyramids and things like that,
With
which
no machines.
with no machines, and we just we are not able to do that stuff today.
We
So
are very, I'm on your page, George. We are so limited. And a lot of your points, when you take, and you probably have seen some of those videos where you see a 6 or 7 year old and they're playing in the schoolyard, and maybe somebody interviews them for a second. They don't know different colors. It doesn't even matter because it's a blank slate. They don't know what racism is. It's not even on their radar. They don't see that
yeah,
because they're so fresh. And then to your point, we talk about extraterrestrials. Who am I to say that there isn't? When you
right.
think about, if you boil it down to very basic levels, how intuitive we all are. We've
Yes.
got, eh, some of us will say, that's, foo-foo, that's not real. Come on. But when you think about it, how is it possible that you can transfer energy, you can do energy healing with somebody?
Mhm.
There's quantum physics right there, where
Right.
somebody feels better and they're 1,000 miles away, where somebody pushed that energy out, or you have intuition to know something is going to happen,
Mhm.
or a feeling. Well, that's the lowest level, that we're talking about here. But if we can do that, why can't we? Why is not something, we call it extraterrestrial, happening? Why
Right.
not?
And to your point, it's not so low after all, because it takes you to have to clear your mind from the clutter
Yep.
that you have learned and have been taught and that you see by others,
Oh yeah.
and you try to follow those examples because you think that what a person is doing is correct or is the right way of doing things. A child must be taught racism.
Yep.
A child must be taught how to be a bad person or how to be a good person.
Right.
A child must be taught intimacy but if they had no other references, it's already in them that there's a connection in physics that bring them together to copulate, and repopulate and to do all of the things that is necessary.
Well, that we call that instinctual.
That's right.
That's one of those things that's within us. But you're right. They're a clean slate, and they have abilities. Sometimes they can, even kids can be extremely intuitive to the
Oh,
point where, yeah, I was mommy, I was talking to somebody before, and then we had a great conversation, or I knew that grandma was going to do that, or because just what you said, there's no clutter. They don't, all they have to worry about is eating, sleeping, and playing. That's it.
they can talk and say, "Hey, I talked with grandma." And they said, "Well, it's impossible. Baby, grandmommy died." And they say, "No, I talked and she told me this, and
Yep.
I'm connected with that." It is so true. I'm going through it right now. My wife died March 8th of this year.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. We're on our way to doing her ceremony of the water. We call it in Voodoo, or ambadlo, or either the ceremony of the water, which brings them back. It's a new actual way of rebirth. One of the things that Christ said, which is a phenomenal individual and idea of Christ and what he did, because Christ could touch you with his mind. He could change you with his mind. He could heal you with his mind. But the one thing that he left saying that you must be reborn. And a lot of people didn't know what that meant. And those who did know kind of changed it. So what it happened, particularly in Christian church, and again, it's not my thing to criticize any faith. What do? They baptize you in the water and they bring you up. Well, in voodoo faith, as well as others in that other, they bring you from the water the same way you, I, and him and her came from the water when your mother's water burst and it pushed you out into life. So that's on this plane. So when a person's life or physical life expires, there's a service we do called the ceremony of the water for Mambo Aizan. She is the one that was in charge of the womb. And what happens is we rebirth, that person is born again. There's a new birth, but this time it takes the person to a much higher ascension to they are now functioning in ways that um, you can only imagine. That's why you hear a lot of people talk about death, but then they become confused when they said, hey, I was visited by this person. Hey, I saw that person. I know my wife died, but she's still telling me what to do.
I totally, I totally believe it. And I'll. My mom passed away 3 years ago, and she's
Uh,
there's no doubt she's here. And you ask for a sign. If you were close to somebody and they had a good energy, you ask for a sign, you're going to get it.
get
But
it?
just what you said, George, you have to clear the clutter because
Yeah,
I don't think in my journey, uh, a couple of years ago, I would have seen those signs. Now I do,
oh,
and very
yeah.
specific.
It's very, very good stuff. It's excellent stuff that we're talking about.
Can I
And
can I cl- can I just jump in for two things here to
yeah,
maybe clear up perceptions that people have. So you've said the word voodoo a couple of times, and so many people hear the word voodoo and they're like, "Oh, yes, yes," and that's exactly.
skulls and
Yeah,
bones and
it's a
vibration.
yes, yes, it's a trigger, and that's not what we mean,
No, can you make this person fall in love with me? Can
right?
you kill this person?
Yeah,
And I'm going to tell you, no, that's not what it means. The actual word voodoo, vu is a Dahomey word, which means omnipotent, or, great spirit. Dieu is a Parisian word because of the colonization of French, which means what? God. So they say voodoo, which actually literally means mysteries of God. There you have it.
yeah,
And so I want to let people know that when we talk about voodoo, it's no different from talking about Ifa, no different talking about Lukumi, Candomblé, or any of the other systems, even in the North American or in the indigenous populations throughout the diaspora, of the Indians living up in the hills and so forth like that. These are people who can show you things and heal you in ways that will actually surprise you. Jack London, you know Jack London,
hmm,
a great writer. He said, "The proper function of man is to live, not to exist. I shall not waste my days in trying to prolong them. I shall use my time." And I always love quoting from him, also from Tennyson's Ulysses and things like that, and other different writings of people who had really, really solid minds that could really think for themselves. For the simple fact that what you're doing now, you're not just existing in a space. A coffee table can exist, uh, and things like that. You living is doing exactly what you're doing. You're in the hearts, the minds, the soul, and the feelings of others. This is what happens in quantum physics. There's no origin for wind, no origin of rain, no origin of forests, or those things. Like it began here, and then no, these things. Um, even if you went back billions of years, you could see that what was important about it and what happened. And so we must understand and see our lives as that. So we're not just existing by standing in place or sitting in the lounge chair watching television or just doing things like that we do. Now here's the most important thing that I'll try to share real briefly. Each and every one of us has God in us, but at the same time, and you may have heard this and not confused when they tell you, well, God or the omnipotent created both good and evil, like the Maulisa or yin and yang, or just like all of these things. So within everybody, there is good light and there is darkness or bad. There are things that exist in all of us. But the tree of life, which is the and the electrons around the spinal cord, which goes to the brain, which the brain then emits thoughts direct like that, is the tree of life. And in this tree of life, what we have to do and master as people in becoming human beings again is to learn how not to live so much into our cerebellum, which is the darkest part of the brain. And in there is low life, is thoughts of fornication and murder and all of these types of things. And we also can't live so far in our room mind, which is light, and where people thinking that I am God. God looks, they try to think they're better than anybody else, and they are blind to light. It is important to do with what I consider is even-mindedness. And if you're in even-mindedness, you're going to have some of that darkness there, because you don't want anybody to fool you or trick you or get over on you or lead you into blind alley like that, where you can have yourself tricked. But also not think of yourself or find somebody who's still telling you, I am the way, I am this. They're trying to imitate like a Jesus will, and they're leading you out off a cliff because they're so blinded by the light. They are walking cliff and you will just follow with them. The whole idea of it is enlightenment, and vision and being able to see. That's what the whole idea of the quantum physics especially is about, being able to connect with what that intuition is telling you. Don't go there. Don't drink that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. Do that. Go, do that. Yeah, don't just lay here. Go and find this. And then there's many a times that you find yourself listening to your mind, and you go out and you're like, oh my God, I've met this person and we was able to do this, and this happened and that happened. And that if you had just laid there, that you could have missed the opportunity that you needed in life.
Yep. And I love the thought that some of us exist and some of us live.
Yeah.
Some of us are just kind of going through life and not really feeling life.
Trying to prolong, I'm going to do this, even if they exercise, whatever, I'm just going to prolong my life, but they're not doing anything with it.
Exactly.
They're prolonging the ability to just exist.
I want to bring up a point before, when you talk about being reborn. It doesn't always have to be connected to, and there's nothing wrong with it, but a religion. So I would have to say, in my journey, I have faith, religious faith, sure, but I would say that I've been reborn in many different ways in the last year or two, for a number of different reasons. Situations presented themselves, and you had to react to it, and then you went in a different direction. And you could say maybe it's connected to God, religion, but I don't think it always has to be. Maybe it's there and I'm missing it, but we can find ourselves in different situations where we're not the same person we were over here. Now we're somebody else.
Steve, you're absolutely correct. It's not God. God doesn't work like that. And I'm going to go out on a limb and be bold enough to say that, for the simple fact that you to seek and find him or her. They want you to reach out. So I used to tell people, when I was young, I did all kinds of the gang, the on the corner smoking weed, or having all kinds of sexual thoughts and stuff like that. I don't anymore. I moved from that address. So if you're seeking me over in there, you're not going to find me.
I never thought of it that way, though. That I've got a different address. I moved.
Yeah.
Never thought of it that
and that's
way.
exactly what you were talking about. How you change. But and this is path of becoming a human being. You are on the path. This can be on the path. But what we're doing is we're seeking, we're out, we're experiencing, we're living life. And we think back and say, no, I can't do that anymore. Oh no, I can't sit back. And now all I'm going to be doing is drinking, and or fighting out in the street or something like that. It's a waste of life existing in a space where you need to get out of and find the space where you really need to be and start becoming enlightened.
Yeah.
You start becoming to see things, to know things. Your brain will lead you and tell you exactly what to do. It is the tree of life. Your brain is the fruit, and the leaves of the spinal cord is the actual tree trunk. Roots and things that are going out are the roots of life that's seeking of the nutrients and vitamins and the water and stuff like that.
You have some of the best, George, you have some of the best analogies I've ever heard, because it makes so much sense that this is the tree and this is, the trunk.
Yeah.
The trunk needs to be fed, from your body, nutrients and all of that. I can't believe we're out of time. Great talking with you. I know you have so many thoughts. Your sanctuary there is to help people. You're there to help people as a spiritual coach. If they want to reach out to you, how do they do that?
2 ways. You can call me on my telephone, and I give my number out. It's 215-869-5322. Or you can go to my email address, which is Grohngan, GROHUNGAN @gmail.com. And you can send me messages. And people tell you I'm up all night sometimes just answering calls or messages. People in trouble, people just looking for help. They just want to hear a word or two. Please call me. I promise you, will be there for you.
It was great talking with you. And I'm sorry to hear about the passing of your wife. Did you say that it was March 8th?
So we have a system. You must honor her for 1 year and 1 day. March 8th next year rather, would be her 1 year, and the day after we do her rebirth, her ceremony, which she will then completely ascend. But it's quite active. Most people say, well, may she completely rest in peace. And my wife ain't resting anyway. It's quite busy.
I'm sure. And you know what? It brings up a thought. I don't know if you look at numerology, and I just skim the surface of it. But if you take March 8th, it's 8 and 3, makes 11. And in numerology, that's a very positive, spiritual, lucky number.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Her whole thing sisted on 9s as well. So on June 9th, she died the June 8th, and now her service is going to be, March 8th, and then now it's going to be March 9th.
Wow.
When she was crowned as a high priestess, it was May 9th. And here we are coming back around that number, the 9.
Wow.
Just
maybe looking like we have our connection here is kind of bouncing. I don't know if that's her checking in. I don't know.
You never know. Knowing her too.
Yeah.
What he didn't tell you.
Yeah, she's saying you're not talking about me enough. That's what it is.
I know, right?
George, fabulous talking with you. I wish you all the best, and I look forward next time we get a chance to get together.
I appreciate it, man. Much love to you, and may you grow rich, wealthy. God just continue to bless you with some of the craziest things and fortunes in your life for you, your family, and everything you do.
I truly appreciate that, and I'm going to push those positive vibes right back to you as well.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you.
Today is my birthday, by the way. I know.
Did I? The Zoom kick offers. Did you say today's your birthday?
Today is my birthday, December 9th.
Oh, the 9th.
Yeah, tonight. Yeah, December 9.
The 9. Wow. Happy birthday.
Isn't that something?
That's
well,
awesome.
Thank you, Steve. Talking with you again.
Yep.
God bless you, man.
You
it's
too.
A pleasure. You're a beautiful person.
You are too. And I really want to talk to you again. So I hope we get together. All right. Be well. Happy birthday again.
Thank you.
Yep. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.